I'm Luke Young, and this is Dragonheart.
Well, hello and welcome to Dragonheart. Not much of an intro today because we have so much to get through, but I am joined by Bill Long, Neil Williams, and Disney's own Mark Griffiths. How is everyone, very quickly?
Well, I'm good, but I'm frustrated because I'm both sitting in the Calon studio doing this show and at the end of the queue to get onto a ferry in Dover. Did you notice the Volkswagen Golf in the reception?
Well, yeah. That's some crazy stuff going on down there.
Oh, man, that's a heck of a reception.
Shout out to the St. Joseph pupils from our school, Mark, who were stuck there during just before the ski trip. Bless them. Awful.
It's madness, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, it is madness. Also, madness things to talk about. We didn't get to talk about it last week. We did mention it. We're going to quickly talk about the United Wrexham game in America. The women have actually found a destination to play their games next season, so we're going to be talking about that. We also have that crazy Oldham game to break down, and we're going to look at the next two fixtures and how crucial they really are. And we got a little bit of a Mark Howard appreciation section as well, so let's not waste any more time. This is Dragonheart.
I'm Rhys Johnson, and you're listening to the Dragonheart radio show.
As in the Rhys Johnson dance.
Well, we didn't get to break it down last week. We did talk about it quite a lot. We did mention it, but we had so much to talk about last week with the women's game and the men's game that weekend. So Manchester United versus Wrexham, or shall I say Wrexham versus Manchester United in San Diego, Bill. Imagine seeing a poster for this 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Well, it's almost as if Ron Burgundy visited us a couple of months ago and then set up a game in San Diego between Wrexham and Manchester United. I mean, you know, Wrexham playing United with the way cup competitions are set up in UK football would be amazing if it was in a cup, but it's not that unheard of. It's the fact that we're going to America for it. We're taking part in one of these big lucrative tours that even some of the lower end Premier League teams don't necessarily get to go to America and take part in these games. It's that's the most mental aspect for me, I think.
Yeah, playing Man United in a pre-season friendly at the racecourse is not really unheard of, is it, really? Because I remember when I was a kid we had it, but to play it in America, Man United are probably more likely to play a few of their stars, aren't they?
I don't know. I mean, they're saying it's a development team, aren't they?
Are they saying it's a development team?
I think the theory is that they won't, but having said that, you know, pre-season is all about getting players ready for the season. So
they might.
If somebody's had a knock at the start of pre-season and they want to give them more game time, they'd throw them in, wouldn't they? So I think it's going to be that sort of.
Rashford might get 20 minutes, that sort of thing.
You're quite right, though. I mean, we were so. I think Wrexham fans got a bit blasé about playing Man United all the time in friendlies because when Darren Ferguson played for us, Alex Ferguson would bring them down every couple of years, wouldn't they? And by the end, the crowds weren't that spectacular for watching Wrexham play a Man United team with first-team players in. And I remember that it stopped partly because Giggs got booed, didn't he, by the Wrexham fans? Don't you remember that? Because he never used to play in friendlies. He'd always pull out of the Wales Internationals if they were friendlies.
See, we've always been good judges of character, haven't we, at Wrexham?
So he got booed every touch, and Ferguson really went nuts. And that was the end of that relationship. But yeah, we got sick of them just turning up begging for a game. It's 28 years since Man United have beaten us in a competitive game, and you know what? That's an excellent record to have against them, I think.
Well, yeah, it is. But Neil, what was your thoughts, really?
It just shows the draw that, you know, Ryan and Rob brought to this club. You know, I mean, we see it week in, week out, the number of fans we have interacting with us at the club. But Wrexham playing in America, it's just beyond dreams, isn't it? What a place to go. Why San Diego? Don't know. I thought it might have been somewhere, maybe California or whatever. But
San Diego's in California.
No, so as in Los Angeles or somewhere like that.
Yeah,
one of the big cities, should I say? Sorry.
It's a big city.
Yeah, I know, but it's not one of the footballing cities like the LA Galaxy and all that.
I just enjoyed the way that you were desperate to stamp me down, but for once I was right. Just for once.
You're always right in your mind, Mark.
In my mind, absolutely. Yeah. In my mind, there's an awful lot going on, but I don't want to talk about that live.
but for me, the fact that there is an American audience, and it may, let's be fair, the majority of fans going are probably going to be Man United fans. Let's not kid ourselves 1 minute. Like, Man United are this huge, they're not even a club, they're like a franchise, aren't they? You know, but the fact that there is enough interest in us to be playing Manchester United and San Diego.
Yeah, to justify it is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, just to even justify it.
It's kind of surprised me because I thought if we were going to do a tour, it was going to be teams like Philadelphia Union and I don't know, let's say Atalanta United or Atalanta, or we could play Atalanta, I suppose. Atlanta,
probably
Atlanta United.
He's quite tasty.
Well, yeah. As some sort of I don't know whether it would go into build relationships with MLS clubs or whether it would be to just try and go to their fans and say, oh, look, you've got your local MLS team, but come and join us if you want a UK-based team. But we're actually going to play we're going to play a UK-based team, one of the world's teams, aren't we? Let's be honest. There's Man United fans in every single corner of the globe. So Wrexham playing Man United is only a good thing for them.
Would it be a big risk for an MLS side, 2 players, and potentially get beaten, though? Doesn't look good for their brand as
not
as a
friendly.
league.
I mean, there are other games going to be announced, aren't there? So they'll be probably against
true
local teams. I don't think. Personally, I wouldn't say so. But
I don't think they take the friendlies too seriously because I remember Brad Guzan being mic'd up once in a friendly against Juventus or something like that, wasn't it? I can't remember who they were playing, but they mic'd him up for it. So I don't know whether they. I know that's the broadcasters, but whether anybody actually takes it seriously when we go over and that kind of thing happens.
True, but I suppose it wouldn't look great on their league if we came and beat them, which we'd have a good chance of doing.
Yeah. I can't argue that. I'm conscious about what the comments are going to be like on the YouTube.
True.
If we start
True,
slating MLS too much.
I'm not slating MLS.
No, not at all. But I don't know enough about the quality in those divisions to say how much of a chance we'd have of beating them. But we've got, I suppose, as we've shown against Sheffield United, I know we didn't beat them, but we beat Coventry and we gave them 2 good performances over 2 matches. So we've got as good a chance of beating anyone.
The MLS is a developing league, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I thought it might be MLS teams because they want some of that exposure. United don't need any extra exposure, do they? Let's be honest. They're not a club that need exposure. They don't need the Hollywood limelight because they've already got fans all over the world. So, it's the talk is that there's more of a tour coming. April 16th, there are some names that have been bandied about. I'm not going to say them here just in case we get in trouble for talking about it, but a quick Twitter search, and I'm sure you'll find one of the big teams that are being mentioned. And if there's a couple more like that, or we add some MLS teams to the tour, then amazing. I mean, it's just
quickly. Is there a dream? Oh, go on, Mark.
I was just going to say that I think that the MLS has moved on a long way since the good old days when a young John Rooney was on trial with us. Didn't get picked up by us, and then went and signed for New York, New Jersey Red Bulls. But yeah, it's very early in pre-season, isn't it, when we play United? So I wouldn't be drawing conclusions from results.
Yeah, isn't the MLS season still going during the summer?
Yeah, as well. Yeah. Although it does make a change from playing Lex.
or Gresford Athletic at Gresford's ground. Did any of you go to that game? I know you didn't, but. Did you go, Neil?
No.
So for anybody who's listening who doesn't know where Gresford is, it's a village in Wrexham County, just on the outside of the town. What would you say? You can't really walk to Gresford, can you, comfortably?
But you could. My house, probably.
Oh, right.
My country estate.
Yeah.
Mouse Mansion, they call it.
But, quick bus ride. So I went up there with a mate, and we walked in, and it is literally just some goalposts on a field and a little bit of a community centre on the side. That's doing it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they've made some improvements. I don't think the stand was there then, was it?
Yeah, it was because we filmed it standing on the roof.
Okay. We did stand on the edges. That's probably why I'm getting confused. I've only ever been to the actual
How much
the
have you
ground
drunk beforehand?
Water, plenty. And you know, we were playing a team of essentially local part timers, weren't we? In a pre-season,
They were a
friendly.
decent side.
Oh
for
no,
their,
for their level,
then,
a
weren't they?
fantastic side. If in the second division in the Welsh setup, weren't they? That's not. There's nothing to be sniffed at there. They've got more talent in their opposite foot to their stronger foot than I'll ever have playing football, but. It's a bit of a step down from San Diego Man United, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
If I could take my seat in Hypocrite's Corner for a second, having said that you can't draw anything out of friendlies, the main key thing about that game, I remember, it was the season when Gary Mills put together his squad of no talents, and we beat Gresford 1-0 thanks to a sort of deflected own goal with 3 minutes left, having been outplayed. And for me, that was. I know I said don't read much into friendlies, but that was the point where you can read into that because that was
you could read
catastrophic.
Into that,
Yeah, and that came to pass, didn't it?
You're saying about dream pre-season
dream
friendly.
pre-season friendlies now because we've got this draw that we've never really had before. You can say international teams as well. So Neil, do you have a dream pre-season friendly that you'd like to see us go up against?
Nantwich?
Whitchurch, Old
We
Port.
played them before, Nantwich. Yeah, Whitchurch Old Port would be a good game.
What's their ground like?
They've got a good ground, yeah.
There you go.
Very good
Nice
standard, yeah. Could
Better
be
than
a,
the Soup Dragon Stadium in San Diego.
I don't know, never been, so I
Fair
can't,
point.
I can't make that decision. So, don't know, I'd like to play something like Rangers or Celtic and go up to Scotland.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Keep it in the UK and go to somewhere like that, you know, one of the big clubs in Scotland.
Oh, that'd be nice. That would be good.
I mean, but what a momentous occasion for our players to be going out to America to represent Wrexham Football Club. You know?
Yeah.
Not in their wildest dreams when they first joined Wrexham, where they think, you know we're going to end up playing in America. So, you know, what a great thing for those players out there as well.
It's a good thing for player retention as well, isn't it, really? And you got a player who's torn up the National League, someone from the Championship or League One might look at them, but, you know, they talked about being part of a project and, you are coming over, you know, to the States, aren't you, pre-season? You know, you might turn it down because of that.
Yeah, and hearing players like Ben Foster who's saying this club is going places, it goes a long way. What's your dream pre-season, Mark?
Well, what I'm going to say is going to sound utterly ludicrous. Laugh if you want. But then it's no more ludicrous than Man United in San Diego would have sounded 2 years ago. So I'm going to say, why don't we have a nice away friendly against Boca Juniors?
Oh, yes.
Getting the old Bombonera.
Oh, yes. I'd have to beg Rob and Ryan to pay for me to go to that.
Probably the only way to get out alive as well if you're part of the media team.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Or Boca Juniors, that would be, that's
tasty, isn't it?
See, I was thinking more Bayern Munich or Real Madrid because I've always wanted to go see one of those sides, Real Madrid, Barca, or Bayern Munich, and to see Wrexham play him in some crazy big stadium would be amazing.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the club in the country that I want to visit most, which is Japan, and it's Vissel Kobe that Iniesta played
Kobe
for.
Antlers, isn't it?
I
think it is, doesn't it?
Whoever it was that Iniesta used to play for, I can't remember their name, or anyone in Japan. I'd absolutely love to go to Japan. So again, I'd be begging Rob and Ryan to fly me out to Tokyo, do a little tour.
Antlers, isn't it? You're right. Yeah. Sorry,
yeah.
I beg your pardon.
Yeah, well, don't question me, Mark. Come on.
I know. I took you on over the J League, and I got what I deserved.
Or that's not like. I know it's dream, but that's like a really unrealistic dream, I think. A realistic-ish dream would be playing against Juve or someone like that, I think. Because I know it seems mad to say that's a realistic dream, isn't it? But if we go into America...
You just dismissed Barcelona and Real Madrid and they're going to Juventus.
They did play Notts County a few years back, didn't they?
Yeah,
there
quite
was a reason for
regular.
that, wasn't there?
Yeah,
it's because of the kits, wasn't it? Yeah. Cracking story. Shame we don't like Notts County at the moment.
I've seen Wrexham play Juventus, if that's any help.
Go on.
About 20 years ago, something like that. Our youth team hosted a tournament.
That's right.
With the Juventus team.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
I remember seeing a picture of the programmes. Yeah.
Mark Jones scored. We beat them 2-1. And when you look at the Juventus team, there were a couple who I think. Well, I'll have to look it up. There were a couple who made a name for themselves. Most of them didn't actually, but nonetheless, I remember going to that game and loving it. Just wanted to see how you team look better than their youth team.
That is pretty amazing. In all fairness,
I'm trying to think. St. Pauli would be a good one as well.
St. Pauli would be a good one.
Realistic ones, guys. Come on.
St. Pauli's quite a realistic one, I'd say. I think so. German team.
I think you if you're talking really realistic, you've already stole Celtic off me because I'd love to go and watch us play Celtic. Definitely, yeah, that'd be up there, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen them play Rangers as well. These games aren't exotic at all.
They don't have to be exotic. Just a great atmosphere.
How about
imagine how many fans would go from Wrexham up to Glasgow?
Bromby?
There was no atmosphere in Ibrox. Except when we went there.
Or Bromby or something like that in Scandinavia. That'd be pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
if we're talking exotic, should we go to
Scandinavian team? It'd be amazing to see Wrexham play a Scandinavian team. Because I'd like to go to.
You just want to holiday.
You've got to remember we weren't around in Wrexham's European crazy days playing all those sort of teams. You know, me and Chay have seen us play. God, who's the most exotic team that me and you have? Alfreton.
That's about it.
That's definitely up there. Yeah, Alfreton.
But in other news as well, last week, huge announcement that the women have found a home after our speculation last week. They'll be playing at the Rock in Kevin Mauer. I always get Kevin Abave and Kevin Mauer mixed up, but that is...
Is that why they sacked you as a bus driver?
Yeah. That and I can't drive.
Yeah, fair point. But when you think about it, I mean, I know you did time over that, but they really should have done a lot better. I mean, what was the point of the interview process? You know, didn't even ask if you got a driver's license.
Well, Arriva Wales is fantastic, I must say.
Please don't take us off air.
But anyway,
and it's good to see they've got the license for it as well. I mean, they've been granted their license to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because they needed that stipulation of a ground with the certain standards in there.
Exactly. And it's nice for them to. And I'm not knocking Ponky Banks at all, but this is a real venue, isn't it? Where you can have fans who can regularly go, make a bit more of a day of it. It's a really nice scenic stadium as well.
If anyone who hasn't been before, check it out on Google Images because it's really one hell of a ground, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's an artificial pitch there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got like a cliff face. It is really cool, to be fair. And I think, realistically, at this moment in time, we're not going to get the huge numbers that we did last week, going every week just yet for the women. But what a great way to build a fan base, and especially somewhere like Kevin Mauer where there's a lot of people who probably can't go to Wrexham games regularly to be able to go pop down the road and watch the women's team, Mark.
Absolutely. It's a great choice, and all I can say is, wasn't I clairvoyant when I suggested it?
We're going to call you Mystic Meg.
Well, bit too soon, that, Neil.
But we've got to remember, we've got to make this playoff first, guys, so...
True, yeah.
Yeah, they're still going to play there regardless.
Yes, I'm sure they will be.
Yes, they will.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so
yeah. It'd be great if we can play it in the top division.
Yeah, it's good that you linked pre-season friendlies to that because the only time I've been to the Rock was for a pre-season friendly against Swansea when Curtis Obeng was playing for the Swansea under 23s, was it?
Yeah.
Wrexham played a Swansea a friendly against the Swansea academy team. Me
that
and you
was
went
that
up, didn't
graph kit.
Yeah.
And we went
and Neil Ashton got injured in the friendly, didn't he? If I remember rightly.
Yeah, and we went into that pub. It just felt like someone's living room. It was really strange. But anyway, yeah.
I think. Oh no, actually, I'm going to withdraw from the first thing I was going to say because it was wrong, and I'm going to say that I remember seeing Wrexham play at the Rock as well in a friendly, and I actually have forgotten what I was going to say about that too. So if we just want to put on some incidental music for a moment while we fix my brain, that would be fantastic. No, that wasn't really saying that. Yeah, I'll come back to you when I realise what the hell. Oh.
Uncle Griff's bedtime stories.
I just thought it was a good time to put that on.
Well, I think we spent
Mid-evening breakdown.
But yeah, I'm so happy the women have found a suitable venue, and hopefully they're in the Premier League next year. Well, the Welsh Premier League, I must say, and playing the top sides in Wales that Wales can offer, and hopefully winning big games. So, and winning big games is what Wrexham do at this moment in time. So after this, we're going to be talking about that 5-1 thrashing.
I'm Aaron Hayden, and this is Dragonheart.
Well, Oldham. Oldham. I gotta say, that has to be probably performance of the season, doesn't it, Neil? It was exquisite.
I mean, from start to finish, as soon as that whistle kicked off till the final whistle, Wrexham were just so dominant in that game. I think Oldham came with a game plan. That game plan certainly didn't work. I think Mark explained it actually set up as the same formation as Wrexham, which in their lineup, and it just did not work. I mean, how we only scored 5 goals when it could have been double that amount, and 1 shot on goal by Oldham, which they scored from. That was the only thing they had to. I mean, keeper had to pick the ball out of the net once, and that was it. And I don't think he hardly touched the ball. But overall, sublime, 100% performance from the team. You couldn't ask any more from those players, and the players that came on the subs just added to that quality that was already on the pitch. And I just think it was a statement by Wrexham, a statement to maybe what's coming up in the next couple of games, that this is what Wrexham are all about, and this is what Wrexham can do to you as a football team, and the skill and the quality that we've got, our finishing qualities in front of goal, our defensive qualities we've got, and the crowd is going to have a huge play in the next, definitely the next home game, which we're going to talk about in a little while.
I remember what I was going to say about Kevin now, but I'm surprised how boring it is. I'm not going to bother saying it.
We want you to break down this Oldham game.
I just had a breakdown, mate. I don't understand what you mean. You must break it down.
Because for me, and I want you to maybe answer this question, I think we were, don't get me wrong, we were very, very good. But in my opinion, from the way I watched it, was Oldham let us be good. The way they set up is just not what you do against a side like us. And I think, don't get me wrong, we were a 10 out of 10, but they were pretty bad. They reminded of us when we first went down.
I totally agree. And I don't want to say that I was right over something, but talking to Oldham media guys before the game, and I said to them, don't park the bus. That's the worst thing you can do against us. And they said, we will. And when they saw the team, they were saying, we absolutely have. Because they picked 3 centre-backs and 2 defensive full-backs as wing-backs. And they did try and park the bus, but it just doesn't work against us. Because, just in a basic sense, if you sit deep against us, well, as you saw, Elliot Lee can score from outside the box. Paul Mullen can score from outside the box. If we bring on Jordan Davis, he can. We've got a lot of players who can finish from distance. So if you sit deep, you allow them time to set themselves and score. And then if you step up, of course, well, they tried to at the start. I thought, they might be quite cute here. They might have a fairly high line, crowd midfield right in front of them, and just try and make it difficult for us to break through. But once we forced them back, because the wing backs are living in their half, going around the outside, clearly Barrett had the beating of their wing back and their left-sided centre-back. So, they couldn't go high because he could run through them. And they started dropping off. They were just waiting to be picked off. And quite apart from that, it's even more obvious. If you're going to park the bus, maybe try and mark the 40-goal striker in the centre of your box for a free kick. I mean, it was a lovely delivery and a lovely header.
Free, though, wasn't it?
But, there was no one anywhere near him. Maybe Mullen might be a player you might want to watch out for in your own penalty area.
On the flip side to sit in the park in the bus, though, if a Boreham Wood or a Bromley park the bus, we have a lot harder time than what Oldham shown us.
I might be wrong. My feeling is I don't think anyone's actually trying to park the bus against us this season. I think teams have been outplayed by us, but I don't remember anyone sitting back. Boreham Wood didn't at their place. Bromley were trying to get at us, weren't they? But we just were too strong in the end, but they gave us a bit of a challenge. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, like Neil said, they matched us up, so they played back four in midweek and got a good point at Wealdstone. So then tried to match us up, like they did in the other 2 games we played against them. So they went to 3 at the back, and we just penned them in because our wing backs are living on the edge of their area, so their wing backs are sitting super deep. You got 2 strikers pinning back their 3, and they're just getting forced further back. And I thought Rooney, I felt so sorry. I thought he played well, Rooney. You look back at it, the number of defensive blocks he made, number of times he made good forward passes, but there was just nothing going on for him. And you could see, I thought he might have got sent off, actually, because you could see it was like his whole professionalism was being affronted here. Yeah. But I think...
Considering we only lost 4 games since the beginning of the new year, you know, we thought they'd put up a really decent game against us, but I just think Wrexham were too good for them. Totally. Yeah. Way above them.
I don't think we're the type of side that you can experiment and change what's working against. We're so organised, almost to the times where we've not done well this season. It's almost like we've been organised to a fault, where there's maybe lacking a little bit of creativity or something. Very, very minor criticism. It's not many times we can say that, but you know, with that organised, you can't have players be unorganised and in a position where they're playing in roles and positions they're not used to. Just can't.
And we are technical and smart enough to pick our way through when a team tries to put lots of bodies behind the ball. I mean, if you like, it's not the orthodox definition of it, but they were a broken team, except there were only 2 players up. So they left those 2 blokes all the time in the halfway, and I was like, oh, we've got a threat because those 2 are up there. Well, it didn't pin us back because I've never seen Tunnicliffe come forward so much in a match. And O'Connell was loving it coming forwards as well. So it didn't stop us from playing our normal style. And then, because they weren't getting the ball out, when they were sitting so deep, those 2 strikers are miles away, and whenever they were trying to half clear it, well, Cannon was just hoovering everything up. Cannon's just sitting off. Yeah. We always know he's there, so if you're under pressure, you can hit it back there, and they just knock it around. He just reads it, and he gets there first, and then he's quick moving the ball.
They left big pockets in midfield for Cannon to move around in, you know, and he was there as a free agent, basically on his own in midfield, which, had all the space in the world.
That Elliot Lee goal sort of summed it up for me as well, in sense of our ability to be flexible and read a situation, and their inability to do so. Because it starts off with Barnett on the right, and he comes inside. They've got unbalanced anyway because we've been passing around for a bit. So they've got their players, too many of their centre mids over on the left-hand side. Barnett runs across the pitch looking for space, doesn't like what he sees, so he turns back and comes back the other way, knocks it to James Jones. And there you watch it. Their defence just can't keep shape. They're just not quite sure what's going on. Why is Barnett on the left wing now with Mendy? What's going on? And they're all getting shifted around a bit. And Jones, it's the simplest ball, but it's the perfect timing. He can see exactly. He can see what's going on, and he just waits for those players to be tempted back towards him again, and then he just pops nice pass to Lee, and it's 2-on-2 because Mendy's staying out there, and you watch their right wing back. He doesn't know what to do because he's thinking, I've got to go to Lee, but then he'll just put Mendy in right around the back of me. And maybe a bit of self-preservation. Looks worse if a wing back comes around the back of me and I've done nothing to stop him. So he starts going to Lee, and then he isn't sure. So he does nothing. And that gives Lee the time just to drive in. The centre-back sees it too late as well. But that's just keep pulling him around. They're not quite sure what to do in certain situations. And then we create an overload, bang, and then we got the quality to find Lee and then the quality for him to stick in the top corner. It's beautiful. I love that game.
Yeah, it was magnificent. And there was one player who I did really feel sorry for Oldham, was their keeper. Yeah. You know, he had quite a good game, didn't he, in all fairness? And that says a lot about, I think, them on that day.
I looked at their team and I thought he's spent most of the season on the bench at Buxton.
Yeah.
And maybe he's going to be a weak link.
He's pretty good.
Him and Rooney were the only decent players on the pitch for them, I thought, to be frank.
As a fan, Bill, what was it like watching with the people around you? What did they think of the game? What was their perspective?
I've got to say, I've been a little bit critical of the atmosphere the last couple of games, but supporter-wise, I think everyone was bang up for it on Saturday. From the minute we walked in the ground, you could sense people were really thinking, yeah, we're going to have them today. And I think the crowd just sort of got behind it. It really helps when when Notts County aren't playing at the same time, I think, because people just are a bit more relaxed. It removes that bit of tension. We knew we had to win, and that was it. And people were just like, right, we're going to go win today. Yeah, no, it's incredible. Incredible game. And like you say, one of the best of the season. Crowds are always going to go a bit mad when goals like Lee's and Mullins' last goal go in, because just what you pay your money for, isn't it? That kind of entertainment. And to get 2 in one, we've had seasons go by in the past where you might get 2 of them a season, but we had 2 in one game.
Yeah.
I remember the season, because I've always been putting together the goal of the season shortlist, and the season Andy Morrell won for the volley against Forest Green. I mean, it was a good goal, that.
Oh, yeah, it was a good goal.
But you wouldn't have thought necessarily it was a goal of the season winner. But that season, genuinely, there were hardly any goals that were at all eye-catching. But as now...
You can't pick goal of the
it's all
season this
merged
year,
into
can
one,
you?
Yeah. It's merged into one. I can't remember which goals, because Mullins scores so many amazing goals. They all do.
I'd have to really look back at a lot of goals, because there's been that many good goals this season. I can't really think of one.
It'd be hard to whittle it down to a 5-goal shortlist. Maybe it'd be hard to whittle it down to a 10-goal shortlist. Some of the bangers we've scored this year.
We've scored, 105 so far this season?
Mental.
Just in the league.
That's mental, isn't it?
That's just in the league.
And as well, I mean, I remember the anniversary season. I picked a short list of 10, and I left out Kieran Morris's winning goal against Chester, which was a well-taken goal, but I didn't think anything out of the ordinary, and people were going nuts because, but it was against Chester. I thought, you got a point there. Whereas now, thankfully, it brought in that format of the knockout competition for goal of the season, where we pair up 16, and then the people can decide whether Luke Young or Jordan Davis win.
Well, this season there'll be a lot more. There'll be a lot more to choose from. I'm sure of that. But come on, 5-1. I think that was the result we needed, Neil, coming into these two really important games coming up.
I didn't expect such an easy and comfortable win. I'd have settled for a 1-0 win any day. You know.
Yeah.
But 5-1, the quality of the goals, the passing, and I think I've said this before, I think we had a bit of a stumble after the Sheffield United games in the FA Cup where our form wasn't quite there, whether the players were a bit tired or whatever. But we seem to be on the up. We seem to be at the top of our game at the moment, We seem to be ready for the next game, and there's as much vigour and enthusiasm and effort put in by the players in every game you see now. The quality's got better and better as the game's gone by recently, and I think they're just building up and getting better at every game.
And in a way, for me, the quote of the game was when we were packing up. Ben Foster was up there, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
And I was going to say we talked to him. You talked to him. I tried to get him to come on the show, which probably wasn't the most diplomatic move. But he said he didn't either. He was so enthusiastic about the quality of the players, and he just said, "I had nothing to do. I was just clapping."
Yeah, that's
a beautiful summary, isn't it, of how that game was. Our team was just clapping.
Applauding the quality of the play at the pitch,
Yeah.
Well, he said, which we're going to mention later on Mark Howard's podcast, that he thinks it's a League One, high level League One side. And it's hard to really disagree with that. I don't think I've seen quality like this in my time watching Wrexham, and I know this is National League, and I have seen great sides like the LDV Vans winning side, and even our last promotion side. I don't think I have seen quality
not
quite like it. I know you two might have done, but Billy, have we really? No, I don't think we've ever seen quality like it.
No. I wasn't really going during the promotion, the 02-03 season. I've saw them play a few times, but I wasn't going like you were going back then. But no, I've not seen a side this good. Not even the 98-point season team, which we've now eclipsed.
I wonder why I'm wearing that today.
Yeah.
It's just the passing is so clinical. The vision of the players. You can see the quality oozing out to these players on the pitch, and the finishing. I've never seen anything. Honestly, I've never seen anything of quality like it in my lifetime, even as a Wrexham fan.
I mean, it's hard to compare across different eras, isn't it?
Different styles of football, isn't it?
And different quality teams you're playing against. Yeah.
I mean, I could get hated for saying this, but I would argue if you actually put a very strong 1970s team against this Wrexham team, the Wrexham team would win, because football's progressed so much athletically and technically but we are still in the 5th level, aren't we? So, with the team, which is third level quality.
Football in 1970s was completely different. You could hack at players back then, couldn't you? You really could.
Which rule set are we playing with? The 70s rule set or the current rule set?
I don't know. You can't. No, the 70s side is quite clearly the greatest side that Wrexham's ever had. Yeah.
You know, I mean, the racecourse was just a mud patch.
What was that, a couple of weeks ago? No offense to the ground staff, they do an amazing job. It was the weather. I don't mean it like that.
Well done, Billy goes barred from the ground.
Oh no, hey, we've got to say though that genuinely to try and undig myself out of this hole, the pitch on Saturday looked fantastic. All things considered, all the weather that we've had and everything.
Ben Foster made a comment on how good it was.
Fair.
And he said, this is a National League pitch, and he said, look at the quality of it.
Yeah, fair play. The ground staff do genuinely do an amazing job, don't they?
Yeah. You get in the 70s, they didn't have as much of those artificial sunlight things that to keep the grass going.
They had the bloke in a shovel or something
like
that.
Essentially, it was.
And you had the only artificial things being made were Mickey Thomas's banknotes as well, weren't they? So.
Just thinking if that could end up in courts. No,
it already has been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Are you guys not worried that maybe there's vultures circling over watching these Wrexham players? And maybe coming to tempt them away. That's my only concern, that they're playing so well, we're scoring so many goals. There's lots of scouts out there hovering over us.
I'm only not concerned because they're all on pretty decent contracts.
I know
and we'll get a good return for them. And you think of what we paid for Mullin in terms of, well, it was nothing for the transfer fee, but we're not privy to his wages, but they're going to be decent. But someone's going to have to come in with 7 figures up, aren't they, for him?
I think it's a championship side that could probably tempt him if. But even then, he's still close to home. It's not just the footballing reasons and money reasons.
There's plenty of championship teams in the Northwest, aren't there? That's the only thing I'd say is that, there's a team in the Northwest could... look, we can't speculate too much.
Yeah, we can't speculate, but I don't know. I think it'd have to be... It's a serious offer. I think championship clubs and League One clubs will be looking at Langstaff.
Yeah.
Because they may be able to get him for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah,
and he scored more as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In the league, has he? Or
he scored more.
Yeah.
I'm not too bothered by it really, in the sense that, absolutely. When the team performs like this, clubs from a higher division are bound to look at them. Yeah. But we now have the financial power to say no as well, and as Bill said, the financial situation to say, well, okay, if you want this player, bidding starts at $1.5 million. Let's see the colour of your money.
Yeah.
And in a recession, we are rich, so that helps us as well. So we've done very well in the transfer market. So if we did lose a player, I don't feel any concerns about whether Parkinson can replace them or not. I know it's not to do with transfers, but look at Hayden. Last season, Hayden gets injured, and we blow it.
Yeah.
This season, Hayden gets injured. And now it's like, well, how will he get back in the team? Because that back three
Same with Jordan
is
Davis.
rock solid. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
And Luke Young. I mean, we've got such quality in depth, and we recruit so well. I hope we don't lose any of the key players, but if we do, we'll replace them with a key player.
The one player that I would be concerned about is Mullin, because it is difficult to replace someone of his quality. Not so much the level of his quality, because you could argue that Ben Toes is just as good, for example, but it's the type of qualities he has, isn't it, rather than necessarily the level that he's at.
I think what Mullin stands for as a person as well brings a lot for the support.
Yeah.
He's a cult hero. He's an icon, isn't he, here at Wrexham now? For example, I got to tell this story. It's just a way to get this story out there, because my girlfriend took my 2 lads to Chester to meet their friend and a meal out. And there was my son, Wesley, who's not even 2 yet, singing "We've Got Paul Mullin" in the middle of Chester. And Wrexham really, really loud. But
you've been teaching him well.
Yeah, I have been teaching him well. And she said there was a few people laughing, there was a few people giving funny looks, which is hilarious. Mm-hmm. But
wasn't he singing Wrexham songs in his sleep the other day?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. But I'll show you the video later. But. Yeah, for me, I think losing Paul Mullin, I think if we ever lost him, it would be huge, as in the morale of the town because people have really endeared
And I think he's
themselves to
endeared
him.
himself to the club as well.
Yeah, it's the fact-
and the journey that we're taking with this club. And I
It's the
think a lot
fact
of
that he said he'd play for Wales.
That is a positive for me, that a lot of these players have invested in the journey that we're going on as a club. And they can see where we're heading, you know. And, 3-4 years' time, I could see us in a championship the way that we're going, you know.
And exactly right. I mean, look at what Mullen's got here now. He's genuinely hero worshipped. He won't get that anywhere else. Not trying to belittle him, but this sort of thing comes along once in a generation. He's not going to get that if he goes to Blackburn or somewhere where he'll be fighting for a place in the team. He's on a huge documentary. He'll go to the States, assuming he doesn't just clear off at the end of the season, and he'll see the Americans going mad about him. And by the way, Wesley, I thought judged the room very well, because you're going to get a lot more American tourists in the middle of Chester than Chester fans. And we know the Americans love Wrexham. He's got all those things. We worship the ground he walks on. Kids in school who are not particularly football fans sing the Paul Mullen song.
Yeah.
I mean...
Everybody knows who he is now.
Yeah.
Even non-footballing people know who he is.
Yeah.
He goes to the UFC, gets ringside seats, and then gets pointed out as a ringside celebrity.
Yeah.
I mean, this is remarkable stuff.
Yeah, considering there was literal A-listers being pointed out, and then it went to Paul Mullen and the lads. He's becoming a club legend, isn't he? Really, and as you said, he's going to struggle getting that elsewhere. And what I really like, he's really reciprocated it to the point where he said, "I am a Scouser, but I'll play for Wales to represent the people he's playing for."
Is his grandmother part Welsh or something?
I think she was Welsh, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She has to be grandmother. But she has to have parentage here.
Yeah.
Or grandparents.
You don't.
Yeah.
There's just an unwritten rule.
I thought I heard
yeah.
somewhere that his grandmother or something was Welsh.
He has already said, though, that he's provided the documents, hasn't he, I think, to prove. So...
Well,
but
okay.
the law behind it's,
I can't tell. It may all be just completely true. I don't know. But I can't help thinking of the time again when we played Man United. One of the rare occasions in history when Man United have beaten us in a competitive match. Only 5 times. It's only beaten us 5 times. Go back 160 odd years. They've only beaten us 5 times. Amazing, isn't it? But anyway, I digress. He was a good goalkeeper. But when we played Man United in Europe, and it was in the very strict days when basically UEFA were trying to split, but basically trying to say that the United Kingdom should have one national team. And they said, well, if you want to have your cake and eat it, then we're going to separate out the different players' nationalities for Europe. Yeah, so
5 foreigners in your team.
Yeah, and English players were foreigners for Wrexham.
Yeah, I remember that.
And all of a sudden, Graham Cooper found a Welsh grandmother. Graham Cooper, Yorkshire's Graham Cooper. I mean, I'm sorry. There was a little bit of a out of the blue.
I've watched a video on it that you don't have to be from Wales, England, or Scotland to play from. It's just like some unwritten rule. You don't pinch. The FAs don't pinch, but England have tried to pinch the likes of Nico Williams and Gareth Bale and stuff in the past. So it does happen.
For those who don't know, the eligibility for international football is parentage up to grandparents, isn't it? So you have to have at least one grandparent that's of that nationality. That's across the whole of the world, isn't it?
Am I wrong? I think what Chay's saying is correct. That essentially, are you a citizen of that country? Then
no, right. Play. So that's the other rule. You need to have gotten citizenship for that country.
No, that's the only rule.
Is it?
But the problem is that there's no such thing as a Welsh passport.
No, because you get British born players who play for example, Nigeria or
you can be
Ivory Coast or
they'll get dual citizenship. I mean, the point is we got UK.
I want to not doubting you, Mark. I want to double check this for myself when I get home.
I would double check Bill.
I'm just thinking of.
I'm along the same lines as Bill because that's what I think is.
I just know for a fact that the British one is that there is an unwritten rule between the FAs that you don't poach each other's players, but it does happen.
Well, no. So it's in the UK at least. There's a couple of they have a gentleman's agreement between the UK football associations, don't they? Because technically, with having a British citizenship, you can play for any of them if you wanted to. Yeah. But it's up to grandparents. So if you're born in Northern Ireland but you have an English grandparent, you could play for England, and the same for parents and what have you. Or if you've had an X amount of years in school in the country that you want to play for. So if you're born in England, but you move to Wales when you're under... No, it is. You can double check this. I promise 100%, right? If you've played for a certain amount of time, if you've lived for a certain amount of time in Wales,
country, yeah.
you can play for Wales,
And
right?
that's exactly the same for rugby players as well.
But it has to be school. It can't.
Don't talk about rugby.
It's it's up. No, I'm not. It's up to a certain age. If you've been in school for X amount of years, they agree not to pinch off each other, and there is something else, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
I'm on Chay's side with this. I think you're thinking of schools football like Ryan
No,
Giggs.
I'm
Right.
genuinely.
Anyway,
they changed. It used to be
Anyway,
like that.
we're going in a bit of a...
It used to be like that. They changed it. I'm just getting that in there.
We're,
You've been slapped down.
right, we're getting into a bit of a tangent over nothing. Just to finish the segment off, if you're Rob Page, would you pick Mullin in your next squad?
Yes.
No.
I'd agree. I don't think. I don't know. Actually,
It's for me. If you're playing a non-competitive game and there's an opportunity to have an extended squad and you can have a look at him, I think you pick him. But I wouldn't pick him for a competitive game.
No, and the friendly's just coming up.
Yeah, maybe in a friendly. Yeah, I'd think.
but I
about
also
him in the
think
extended
what
squad.
Welsh player is banging in goals like he is with that quality at this moment in time. Anyway,
Bill's half right,
Bill's half right.
but half wrong.
Yeah.
It is. It's new, but now worldwide it's grandparents. But that's only been brought in because of Qatar initially bringing in loads of Brazilian players.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so as a worldwide rule, that's a new one. So I was out of date, and I apologise.
Well, I
the
did.
school thing isn't true. You've got to have lived in the country for at least 2 years now.
No, the school thing I wasn't saying for the whole of the international. I was talking about just the UK. So if you were born in England, but you were in school in Wales, they let you play for Wales. I'm nearly 100% sure of it.
I'm pretty sure that's not true. I think that's a schoolboy football. But let's stop talking about
Let's stop. Yeah. Right. After this, we're going to be talking about the two colossal games next week.
I'm Ling McLinden and this is Dragonheart.
Right. Well, after our all big rants about eligibility and what have you, let's talk about... First, we'll talk about the Halifax game. We'll talk about the Notts County game separate. Halifax, as an occasion, Bill, 4,000 plus Wrexham fans making their way to... I forgot the name of the ground, the Chay.
How can you forget that name?
Yeah,
Chay.
I know.
You're
Yeah.
named after Halifax.
Chay at the Chay.
Yeah. The Chay, it's going to be a crazy, crazy event, isn't it?
It's I've had to stop myself thinking about it because I don't want to get too excited.
I'm just worried about parking.
Our assistant manager.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think he's going to do?
Find me a parking space.
Well, I'd be just worried about actually getting into the car park because Halifax, I remember going there once and the team bus was stuck in the entrance to the car park. The driver managed to get the bus wedged against the gate post. It was brilliant. Happy days.
It's as a footballing occasion, every game's just so huge. But the fact that there's going to be 4,000 odd Wrexham fans there is gonna. I think it's going to be surreal. It's surreal enough when you're playing in an FA Cup game, but at least you can sort of like it. That just feels like a big moment. I don't think I definitely haven't been in a Wrexham away end with that many people for a league game.
No, I was going to say exactly the same. I can't remember being that many away fans at an away game when they're going to outnumber the home fans. I would imagine like 2-1 virtually.
Telford on Boxing Day, the 98-point season was the last.
But it was like 4,500.
No, it
wasn't 4,500, but we brought more than them, didn't we?
Yeah. So I've been in that. So we've been in. A few have probably been in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's not only going to be that, but it's going to be like 4,500, which will easily be our biggest away attendance, other than the cup games, and might even be, depending on the allocation, might even be slightly bigger than them, mightn't it? I'm not sure. What was Sheffield United? Did they give us 5,500 or was it
6? 4?
Well, there's not going to be much between them anyway, is there? So
my scenario,
mental.
guys, is we win Friday, County lose. We beat County Monday. We could be champion. That's the best case scenario. We could be champions then, based on goal difference. But they'll have 3 games to go.
But goal difference can change.
Yeah, but they would have 3 games left.
No, I like Neil's scenario because
I love it.
But because in that scenario, we end the league after beating Notts County, and that's it. We just say all the other games are worthless.
Notts County. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves just beating Notts County at home is going to be a huge task. Yeah. But beating Halifax at the moment, who are on a bit of a high, they've got themselves into the FA Trophy final. Yes, they're not the side that they were last year, Mark, but they're not on a bad. Their form's okay at the moment, isn't it? They're not a bad side.
They're no mugs. When we ought to go there looking to beat them because we've been beating the bottom half of the table teams consistently. But you can't take them for granted, and we've had some tough away matches against some of the teams right down the bottom. But yeah, they've just got to carry on. If we maintain our standards from last Saturday, we win the league in 3 matches' time. But we've got to do that. Obviously, you've got to turn up and do it. I like that we got another free week midweek to build up to it as well. I think things have turned up a little bit since we've had that breathing space.
Yeah, that bit of a rest does, because we have been at one point. It was getting relentless for me, my home life. Never mind the players. When it was Saturday, Tuesday. Now, they get to rest their legs a little bit, Bill. But this is a huge game, isn't it? And the players have turned up for us this season. Don't get me wrong, but the pressure is starting to really mount up. That trophy is at touching distance now.
It doesn't feel like it in the ground, though, does it? We're watching the way the players play. They're not playing with nerves or tension. They don't look like they're playing with that. Whereas I thought last year, like take the Dover game for example. Yeah, we did turn that round in the end, but you could say for the first 50, 60 minutes of that game, they were playing with a real nervous sort of energy about them. But now they just look like they
just another day at work.
Yeah. And I think what's great about this side is that say we don't get the result we need in either of these 2 games coming up, and any of those players look like mentally they need a break, we've got a player of equal quality in every position, practically, to come in and replace them. I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but let's say someone in the midfield has to be dropped. Tom O'Connor comes in. Jordan Davis comes in. Yeah. Luke Young, our captain, comes back into the squad. Yeah. That's not something to be sniffed at, is it? When last year we were bringing in, when we were struggling, there was players who were good players, but not quite that quality coming into the squad.
Yeah, 100%. And you've just got to presume, though, for me, that don't look at, as I urge fans, don't look at the Notts County result. Just presume they're going to win. Because they're playing Wealdstone at home. They're a fantastic side. We've just got to do our job and focus on our side and get behind the lads. And hopefully it's a positive result for us on the Friday. And then Monday, Mark, this is arguably the biggest ever conference, National League, non-league game, isn't it really, since the Stockport game last season?
I like that codicil you put in there.
Yeah.
Well, I got my 98 points season shirt on. We've got to 100 now, and I was doing a little bit of swatted up, and I think we're the 15th team ever to get to 100 points in English professional football, and there's never been a league where 2 teams have got 100 points, but this year there will be. Notts County will get to 100 points. I hope they don't, because that means things go
they're not going to lose their last 5 games, so they'll get to 100 points.
So, that does show just how remarkable it is. But if I can just say, looking at these 2 games in combination first, would you rotate on Friday with Monday in mind, or do you look at, okay, they got 2 days off, we are flying, we play Friday full pelt, and then we see how it goes?
We play Friday full pelt and see Notts County game as a free hit, because we do have a game buffer.
Would you?
And I think we risk it personally.
Would you look at putting Ford in instead of Barnett for the Notts County game, as they're going to be a lot more attack-minded than what Halifax are?
That's a good question, I think. Yeah.
That's Ford or McFadden. I don't think.
Well, McFadden's left back, isn't he?
No, I just mean you either swap Mendy or Barnett out, but you wouldn't swap both of them out. Is Ford ready to come back?
Well, he's played the reserves game today.
Has he? Well, that's good. That's good.
Well, today, it would have been yesterday when this was released, but. That would be my concern. As fantastic as Ryan Barnett's been, and he is very good, But when you're playing against Notts County, when there's the Langstaffs and the Rodriguezes who can really cause you, well, them two players could get into our side. It's, do you go with Ford, who's a little bit better defensively? I don't know.
If he looks right, I would seriously consider it. Although, having said that, as he started McAlinden against Stockport in that big game, the second big game, and it worked.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Barnett I agree, is not as good defensively, partly because I think Ford, as a one-on-one fullback, is tremendous, considering the fact he's not played most of his career at fullback. But having said that, Barnett does have incredible recovery speed, so he does make mistakes defensively, and he has cost us a goal this season, but he has also got the pace to get back and recover if someone beats him. I think it's a nice problem to have, I think is the cowardly way I'll sum that up.
Yeah.
I think I would be more tempted to play Mendy against Halifax and then McFadden against Notts County.
McFadden hasn't played regular football in a while, though, has he?
No, he hasn't. But I just think he's got a bit of that needle in him, McFadden, without actually losing his own head. And I think playing him in a game like that against Notts County, when their right back, whose name is escaping me right now, is it Naman? I don't know how you pronounce it.
And he's a winger, really, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's very, very attacking. And Mendy's very attacking. But if he gets better at Mendy that day, but I don't know. It's I sort of see the Notts County game as a free hit personally. If we beat Halifax,
you look at Notts County, and you could argue this Notts County side, forget about us, are probably one of the best sides to ever play in the National League as
question. Well. Yeah.
And that just shows, Neil, the magnitude of this game. That it is Titan v Titan, isn't it?
Oh, it's a huge game on Bank Holiday Monday, and basically winner takes all, I think, of that game. Well, maybe not winner takes all for County, but for us, if we win that, then we're nearly home and dry, to be honest. Although we've got 4 games after that.
But on the flip side, if we lose, we've got Barnet after that, and it gets a little bit sticky, doesn't it?
It does, but, this time last year, if we were playing away games, I'd be a little bit worried, we went up to the task last year, but this year we're just a totally different team. We seem more comfortable. Eastleigh this year they were fantastic away. Eastleigh, they've ground out results wherever they need to go away. And I would start on Friday with the same starting lineup as Saturday.
Yeah,
strongest team. Go out there, hammer them, and then hopefully get 2 or 3 goals up by half time. Then make some changes to rest players ready for Monday. That would be my line of thinking, and I'm sure Parkins has got his plan for both games already set, depending on injuries or whatever. And then I would more like start again with that strong team again on Monday against County and just see how it goes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mix it up too much because they're playing so well as a unit at the moment. They know where each other is. They know which passes they're going to make. They know where each player is going to run. And I think that's 90% of being a footballer, is knowing where your players are going to be so you can pass that ball. Or, what I liked was, going back to Foster with that interview he did, was, there was no game plan for his goal kicks or for getting rid of the ball out of the box. He said, Parkinson told him, you do what feels right. If you see the player like Mullin on his way, you take it low over the top. Or there was no game plan. There was no... It's always got to start from the back, and it's down to, and I love that attitude. There's no set game plan. It's for coming out of defence. You can mix it up a lot,
Yeah.
So Friday, I can see us winning comfortably at Halifax. Yes, they've had a better form than they have for a while. County, as Bill said, is a free hit.
I do not like discounting sides like Halifax. On the run that they have, the FA Trophy, with that big away following comes a lot of pressure. Let's take it a game at a time. Let's not look past the,
He starts pushing up buttons as well now, isn't he?
I don't.
Blind
but
nonsense.
I get you, but I don't. That's too much. That's too strong of language for me. That is.
Their thoughts will be on the FA Trophy final.
Their thoughts will be. Their thoughts will be on trying to build as much positives as they can towards the FA Cup.
No, they want to
beat Wrexham.
They won't want to get injured like we were.
No. I disagree with you.
If you play like that, you don't get picked for the final, do you? So
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't. I'm quite worried about Halifax. No.
Chay, I don't want to jinx it, but you've been quite worried about every single
game.
team that we've played this season.
So there's no legitimate way of me saying why is that? What am I saying then? Not legitimate.
I'm not saying it's not legitimate.
It's a huge away crowd. It's a very high.
No.
Game.
Hey, I'm not criticising. I'm just saying you have said that about a lot of teams this season, and we've rolled them over. You said it about Oldham, and we rolled them over. You know, I'm us losing depends on us messing up. That's it. Against a team like Halifax, they haven't got the quality to win unless we don't perform. It's not a case of going into these games where you look at it and think, they've got better this, they've got better that. They are not better in any area. Now that doesn't mean that we can't slip up. I'm not saying that, because we could slip up. And I can look at the look on your face is feeling painful, because you're going to be like, I told you so.
No, there's not any Notts County or Halifax fans watching this.
Oh, they could clip us all season, and I'm genuinely not saying that. I really don't mean it from a point of view of like that they haven't got the quality to beat us, because they have. Any team has in this division. I just mean,
I just
let's be
Friday fair. Is vitally as important as.
Yeah, I agree.
It is.
It is more important than Notts County game.
I think it's more important as well.
If you win that and you go into Notts County game, and it does become a hit to nothing. You drop any points against Halifax, and suddenly that Notts County game is a real
100%.
We've got to also remember, we were talking about this about Dagenham, going to Dagenham a few weeks ago, and look what we did at Dagenham, and Dagenham, I think, in my eyes, were a far better team than Halifax.
And we talked like this last season going into Dagenham, and look what happened there.
I know, but this season we won 3-0 away.
You're listening to fighting talk.
But that's good. We all debate.
It does go to show the tension at the moment, doesn't it? I don't know about you guys, but I feel very tense going into every game.
I felt a case of the game here. To be honest with you.
Well, yeah, no, I just don't like looking past teams who are being successful at this moment in time.
Yeah. You got to give them the respect, but I also agree that the level. That's the way I look at it. If we keep the levels from our Saturday, nobody's going to take points off us. But we've got to do that.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I'm not trying to say that these teams aren't good enough, because we've come unstuck enough.
If we play at a lower level to what we have been playing, we could still win. I'm not saying that, but we could also play really well and still lose as well. You can get penalties given against you. You can have dodgy decisions. This is football.
The last two teams that come to the racecourse haven't really even got into our penalty area because we've been so good.
Yeah.
But we've got to keep doing it.
Yeah, we've got to keep doing it. Yeah, and we're very good at it now.
Yeah,
and that's why I wouldn't change the team.
Yeah, I agree.
Whew, that was
I like Mark Howard. He said changing the subject.
Yes.
I want to kiss that man now.
After this, we're going to talk about Mark Howard. Well over.
I'm Aaron Hayden, and this is Dragonheart.
Well, to finish off the show after this feisty, the feistiest Dragonheart we've ever had, I think.
No.
Remember when Bill tried to cut my liver out and sell it?
Dragon eat your heart.
I think every Wrexham fan should watch the Yours, Mine, Away, is it called, the Mark Howard's podcast. And what a class act, featuring Ben Foster on the first episode after him signing. He's taken his position, and Mark Howard's take on the whole thing, Neil, is just such a class, isn't it?
And it shows the class that runs through the team. He was saying that Phil Parkinson phoned him up and said, look, I'm going to sign Ben Foster. What do you think? And he said, go ahead and do it. If it gets over the line and gets his promotion. And that shows the quality of players we've got at this team. They all want promotion. And I thought that was just such a lovely gesture. Though he did say later, it's not what his wife said or his partner said.
Yeah. So. I think it's what it shows the quality of people we got at the club.
Yeah.
And as Foster says later on in the podcast, the club does due diligence on the players, looks into the players, doesn't buy idiots. And like I said, when Howard said, do what we need to go up, we need to go up. Mm-hmm. Well, that's fantastic, isn't it? It really is.
But, put yourself in his position and say you've got someone getting a promotion ahead of you in your job, then you have to sit and work with them, under them, the next week in work. It would be a really bitter taste in your mouth. But Mark Howard's taking it like a real champ, and they're not only taking it well, embraced it as well, and sat down and done a podcast, an hour and a
Brilliant.
half podcast with him, talking about his
Which
career.
They really come across as people who get on extremely well.
Yeah.
Which knocks the wind out of the sails of anyone who wants to try and spread sort of gossip about, oh, we'll be unhappy. Because it's the most beautiful response to that, because they're just the biggest mates ever, aren't they, to sound like.
Yeah.
Well, when you replace me after this bust up and you ask me back to cover, I will not be with my understudy or the person who's taken my job. I will I will refuse.
But it's
You're saying you seriously don't.
no, I've got to say, absolute class act, Mark Howard does. And to be fair, he's played a real vital role in this.
He has.
In this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
I was annoyed by the reaction when Lington got injured, the way some people seem to be saying, oh, our season's over now. I mean, he's been in goal for pretty much the whole season, and we've got over 100 points. He can't be a calamity, can he? Come on.
Yeah. People talk about that. I've not been I've been critical of him in the past, but no one talks about that game against Notts County where he kept us in it for the most part. He was outstanding, and that could have been a real drubbing that day, couldn't it? So, yeah. Bill, anything else to add?
No.
Well,
No. To be fair, it's a great podcast. Go out and listen to it.
Yeah.
It would be quite good if we could get either of those guys on this podcast as well for an interview.
Guys.
Yeah.
But we need to let them know the first rule of Dragonheart is don't talk about Dragonheart. And then the second half of Dragonheart is don't talk about Dragonheart.
Exactly. Talk about pies is the third.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, this has been a really, really fun podcast, and things have been getting a bit intense because the season's getting really, the next two games are the two biggest games in the last so many years of me supporting Wrexham. So yeah, sit back, enjoy the ride. Hopefully this time next week we're going to be talking about how triumphant we have been. This has been Bill Long, Neil Williams, and Mark Griffiths.
Bill Williams?
That'll do.
Neil Williams, I said.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
This has been Dragonheart.
Should we form a breakaway podcast, Chay?
Yeah.
Should leave these two chumps to it.
Yeah.